Hello everyone, in this lesson we're doing factorization and we're going to factor the GCF or the HCF from this expression and then use it to factor the expression. And HCF stands for highest common factor while GCF stands for greatest common factor. So those two abbreviations can be used interchangeably. So the first thing I need to do is find the HCF of 24 and 48. And please note that knowing your timetables and also division rules can greatly improve your skills in finding the factors of numbers. So please know that. So now I'm going to find the factors of 24. 1 times 24 is 24. 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 4 is 24. And we always stop when the factors repeat themselves. So the factors of 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Now let's find the factors of 48. 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, 6 times 8, 8 times 6. So the factors of 48 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 24, and 48. So now that we have listed our factors, we need to find the highest common factor. So what's the highest common factor? The highest common factor is indeed 24. And we could have analyzed the expression and known this from the beginning, but when we're doing exams, the examinators want us to show our working. So even if we can do it in our minds, the examiner wants to see how you arrived at your calculation. So our HCF is 24. No, we are not finished. We have to look at the x terms and the y terms. So in this part of the problem, we have x squared and at this part we have x cubed. And at this side we have y cubed. And here we have y squared. Now we need to finish finding the HCF or the GCF for the entire problem. So we're not finished here. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to choose the value or the variable which is lesser. So which is lesser, x squared or x cubed? X squared is less than x cubed. Great. So we need to include x squared. Now let's look at our y terms. Which one is lesser? Correct. Y squared is less than y cubed. So we include y squared. So now we have find the HCF of the HCF of the entire expression. Now we are going to use it to factor the expression, and our expression is 24 x squared y cubed minus 48 x cubed y squared. So when we use the HCF, we have to divide each term by the HCF. So we have to divide 48x cubed y squared by 24x squared y squared, and we also have to divide this by 24x squared y squared. So now let's carry out that. 24x squared y squared. Twenty-four into 24 goes 1 times. X squared into x squared goes 1 times. Y squared into y cubed leaves us with y. And 1 times 1 equals 1. 1 times y gives us y. So we're left with y. Twenty-four into 48 goes 2 times. X squared into x cubed leaves us with x. Y squared into y squared is 1. 2 times x times 1 gives us 2x. Now, our expression is factored. So to write our answer, we have to include the HCF before this expression. So the HCF is 24 x squared y squared, and in brackets we have y minus 2x. So if we multiply this by this, we're supposed to get the expression which we have factored. Now we're going to move on to another problem. And this problem, you're going to attempt it first and then we work it out together. Go ahead, pause the video and attempt this problem. Okay, now let's work it out together and prove your answer. First thing, we're going to find the HCF. One times 36 is 36. 2 times 18 is 36. 3 times 12. 4 times 9. And our factors repeat, so we stop here. And 24. We already know the factors of 24 from our previous problem. And in maths, whatever thing you can do to save time, you have to do it. So instead of recalculating the 24, we just get the factors which we wrote down previously. One, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24. Now let's find the factors of 40. So the factors of 40 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, 40. Now let's find the HCF. So our HCF is 4. The HCF for our numbers is 4. Now the next step. Which one is the least? A. And for this, it's B. Therefore, the HCF for the entire expression is 4AB. Next, we're going to factor the HCF from the entire expression. So we have 36a cubed b minus 24a squared b squared minus 40a b cubed. Divide everything by 4ab. 4 into 36 goes 9 times. A into a cubed leaves us with a squared. B into b is 1. 9 times a squared times 1. Now 4 into 24 goes 6 times. A into a squared leaves us with a. B into b squared leaves us with b. 6ab. 4 into 40 goes 10 times. Into a 1 times. B into b cubed leaves us with b squared. So 10 times 1 times b squared is 10b squared. Now, we're not finished. We have to include our HCF. So this is our answer. 4AB open parentheses 9a squared minus 6ab minus 10b squared, close parentheses. I trust that you got it correct, and if you didn't, practice makes perfection, so keep on practicing. Just a small correction to make. For problem number 2, I didn't show working for this part, this section of our problem. And it's always important to show working. So when we have the a cubed, a squared, a, to show that we chose the smallest value of a, we have to say a squared is less than a cubed. Then we have to say a is less than a squared. And we chose a because we always choose the smallest value for the HCF when we are dealing with the variables. So that's how you show working for this section. I apologize for that. And we will do the same for the b terms. So we have b squared, b cubed. B squared is less than b cubed, and b is less than b squared, and we chose b. Hence, this is how you will show your working whenever you get a problem like this. Now let's look at our third problem. We have 36x raised to the negative 3, y raised to the 4th power plus 20x raised to the negative 5, y squared. And we can also work this together. So we know we find the HCF. So the HCF of 36, and we did that in the previous question. So let's just put an asterisk to indicate from previous problem. One, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, 36. Now let's find the factors of 20. 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5, 5 times 4. So the factors are 1, 2, 4, 5. 10, 20. So now we can see that the HCF is 4. So the HCF of the numbers is 4. So now we need to write down the variables. So in this part we have x raised to the negative 3. We have x raised to the negative 3, and on this side we have x raised to the negative 5. And we have y to the 4th power and y squared. So which one of these is lesser? X to the negative 5 is less than x to the negative 3. And y squared is less than y to the 4th power. Therefore, the HCF for the entire expression is x to the negative 5 y squared. Now we're going to factor our HCF from the expression. So we need to divide everything by 4x raised to the 5th power y squared. Four into 36, 9. X to the negative 5 into x to the negative 3 gives us x squared. Y squared into y to the 4th power gives us y squared. So 9 times x squared times y squared. Now let's do this side. 4 into 20 gives us 5. X to the negative 5 into x to the negative 5 is 1. Y squared into y squared is 1. So our answer is 5. Oh, sorry if you did not see when I was writing this part. Now we're not finished with our answer. Our answer is correct when we include the HCF before this. So our HCF is 4x to the negative 5 y squared. Now 9x squared y squared plus 5. Great. Now go ahead, pause the video and attempt this problem. Great. So we find the HCF of 125 and 500. And when we're dealing with large numbers, there's an easier way to find the factors. We can use a technique known as prime factorization. So we're going to place the 125 here. And we're going to divide 125 by the smallest prime number that can go into it without leaving any remainder. And a prime number is a number that has only two factors, which are 1 and itself. So the smallest prime number that can go into 125 is 5. 5 into 125 goes 25 times. 5 into 25 goes 5 times. 5 into 5 goes 1 times. Therefore, from our prime factorization, we get 5 cubed. And if we put 5 cubed into our calculators, we will get 125. Now, to get our factors, we need to expand this 5 to the cube. or 5 cubed. So we have 5. So this is equivalent to 5 times 5 times 5. Now look carefully. It is simple. You just have to follow what I'm doing. So we're going to multiply the 5 times this 5, and we're going to get 25. So 5 times 5 gives us 25. Now we are going to use this 25 and multiply it by 5. 25 times 5 gives us 125. Now we're going to move to this digit. So we're going to move to this digit. 5 times 5 gives us 25. All right. So upon doing this, we now need to write the factors. And 1 is always a factor. So the first factor is 1. Then we're going to write the factors in ascending order. So we look at the prime factor 5 and we see that it's the smallest. So we put 5. Then we have 25. And finally, we have 125. And whenever we carry out this technique, whenever we have a number repeating itself here, we only need to write it one time when we're listing the factors for that number. Good. Now we are going to use the same strategy to find the HCF for 500. Okay, so we're going to draw our table and place the 500 here and repeat the same process. The smallest prime factor is 2. The smallest prime factor that can go into 500 without leaving a remainder is 2. So 2 into 500 gives us 250. So after carrying out our prime factorization, we're left with 2 squared times 5 cubed. So to find our factors, we are going to expand this. So we have 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 times 5. And we're going to repeat the same process. Two times 2 gives us 4. 4 times 5 gives us 20. 20 times 5 gives us 100. 100 times 5 gives us 500. Now we're going to move over to the other digit, which in this case is 2. Two times 5 is 10. 10 times 5 is 50. 50 times 5 is 250. And we're going to move to the other digit, which is 5. I'm sure by now you're seeing the pattern here. So 5 times 5 gives us 25, and 25 times 5 gives us 125. Now finally we're left with 5 times 5, which gives us 25. Now we are going to write our factors. 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, 100, 125, 250, and 500. And as I stated earlier, when we have any numbers that repeat here, we only need to write it one time when we're listing the factors. Great. So now let's look and see what our HCF is. Our HCF is 125. So we have established that the HCF of 125 and 500 is 125. Now to find the complete HCF for this entire expression, we observe the x terms and the y terms. So our HCF is x to the negative 5, y to the negative 4. Our complete HCF is 125, x to the negative 5, y to the negative 4. And as I stated earlier, practice makes perfect. So if you made any error while carrying out this problem, just do it again. Now we're going to factor our expression. 125 into 125 one times. X to the negative 5 into x to the negative 3 gives us x to the 2. This leaves us with 1. So we're left with 1 times x squared times 1, which is x squared, plus 125 into 500. Use our calculators, or we can do it mentally. And that's 4. This gives us 1, and this gives us y squared. So we're left with 4 times 1 times y squared, which is 4y squared. And for our answer to be complete, we have to include the HCF. So this is our answer. Now, let's look at this problem. And as we can see, it's quite different from the ones we have done before. We have a binomial here and a binomial here. So both sides have a binomial in common. So when we encounter an expression looking like this, we say let y equal, and we're going to use the binomial 3x minus 1. Now we're going to rewrite the expression. So we have x and y, because y equals 3x minus 1. And be careful, always remember to include the exponents. So we have a squared here, so we have to put the 2 here. Then we're going to have 2x squared and y. The next thing we're going to do is factor the expression. So what terms are common? So we have x and we have y. So we have x and x squared and y squared and y. And x is less than x squared. And y is less than y squared. So our HCF is x, y. Now, let's factor our HCF from this expression. X into x goes 1 times, y into y squared leaves y. 1 times y is y, plus 1 into 2 goes 2 times, x into x squared leaves x, and y into y leaves 1. Oh, and I'm to put a 2 here. So 2 times x times 1 gives us 2x. Now we need to put the HCF in front of this expression. So x, y, open parentheses, y plus 2x. We're not done yet. We need to replace the y with the binomial 3x minus 1. And we're going to put 3x minus 1 plus 2x. Great. And as you can see, instead of using parentheses here, I used brackets because I figure nonetheless more calculation is needed here. So let's continue. 3x minus 1. We're going to remove the parentheses. So we're left with 3x minus 1 plus 2x. X, 3x minus 1. 3x, we're grouping like terms. So 3x plus 2x is 5x and minus 1. So our answer is x, open parentheses, 3x minus 1, close parentheses, open bracket, 5x minus 1, closed bracket. If we have our answers with parentheses here instead of the square brackets, it would still be correct. But when we have square brackets, it shows that more calculations are going to take place. So we can write our answer like this. Because it's finished. Go ahead, it's your turn. Try that problem. So pause the video and try the problem. Great. Let's work it out. Let y equals x minus 4. Rewrite expression. Now let's find our HCF. So our HCF is 2x cubed y cubed. going to factor the expression. So we have 4x cubed y raised to the fourth power minus 6x raised to the fourth power y cubed. Now let's rewrite our expression. Now we're going to open the parentheses. We're going to distribute the two and then group like terms. So we're left with 2x cubed x minus 4 2x minus 3x equals negative x minus 8. And this could be our answer, but in the maths world, it's always best to bring the negative sign to the front of the expression. So we're going to factor negative 1 from here. So after factoring negative 1, our answer is going to be negative 2x cubed x minus 4 x plus 8. And feel free to pause the video and try to understand the steps. And note, when I had negative x minus 8, I simply factored negative 1. So I divide all of this by negative 1. Negative 1 into negative 1 into negative x gives us positive x. Negative 1 into negative 8 gives us positive 8. And because we factored the negative 1, we have to put it in front. So that's what I did here. However, I moved this negative 1 to the front of the expression. And we know that negative 1 is equivalent to just having the negative sign in front. So hopefully that cleared the air. We are leaving you with this problem to practice on your own. Here we have 16a raised to half, b raised to 3/4, c raised to 4/5 minus 48a raised to 3/2, b raised to 7/4, c raised to 9/5. fifths. We are now at the end of our lesson. I hope it benefited you tremendously. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will be notified when we upload another video. Thank you.